What is up, everybody? How is it going? Austin Prechtelevate Performance, coming at you live. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you're having a good day so far. Today, we're going to be talking about intermittent fasting and why I personally do it, and why it might be for you, and why it might not be for you. I'm going to lay out how I personally do it, why I do it. I'm just going to lay out like kind of like my day in terms of how I you know do it, and so that way you guys can either kind of like copy paste what I do into your own life and see if it works for you, or try and figure out how it works for you on your own. But intermittent fasting, that's what we're going to talk about. I've had a lot of people, not a lot of people, I've had more than normal, I would say, message me about intermittent fasting or say that they're wanting to try it or that they're trying it right now on phone calls and in just like messages and stuff. And it's something, if you saw my cool post today, which I encourage you to go check out, with kind of like the cool infographics and kind of deal. Yeah, check that out. I'm going to be doing more of those. I'm going to be putting more of those things out in terms of like intermittent fasting. I'm going to do one for, and then for flexible dieting and stuff. So that way, you guys have some easy resources that you can save and tap into whenever you want. But I hope that the one that you saw today was cool. I hope you liked it. It seems like it got people enjoyed it. But as we are jumping into this, before we jump into it, let me know how your day's going. Give this video a like. Feel free to, say hi in the comments. And if you're watching this later time, hashtag replay. But if you know some people that should be tuning into this live that have questions about intermittent fasting, tag them in this shit. Tag them in the comments, or share it with them, whatever you want to do. So, though, intermittent fasting. So let's talk about it. Also, representing, I found this shirt in our costume box. I forgot that I had it. I've never worn it. I got it for entering a cheesy bread eating contest when I was in college, and I saw it and I was like, oh, I'm definitely wearing that shirt. If you're from the Lafayette or West Lafayette area from Purdue, where I went to school, you are very familiar with Mad Mushroom, I'm sure. So I'm repping it today. But anyways, as you guys are watching, so what we're going to talk about is intermittent fasting, and whether or not it's for you, what it is, how I like to do it. What's up, Lonnie? What's up? How's it going? How's it going? Talking about intermittent fasting today. So, but yeah, guys. So intermittent fasting. What is it? So, in general, it just to put it like in layman's terms, I guess it's just eating strategy, right? Intermittent fasting is like not eating for a period of time and then eating within like a window of time, right? So you're not eating and then you're eating. There's a window for not eating, a window for like eating. And for intermittent fasting, there's like a variety of different like strategies, or like some people do like an 18 or an 18 6 window where they don't eat for 18 hours and they eat all their food in 6 hours, right? And whenever I first started intermittent fasting, there was not a whole. They were just kind of coming out with some new like research about it. People were hyped about it. Like, and this is like like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Whenever it was getting really big, people were like, "Oh my gosh, like intermittent fasting, like if you just don't eat in this window, you can eat whatever you want in this other window, and you're gonna lose weight, and you're gonna burn a lot of fat, and you're gonna do all these other things, and and you're gonna, it's magical, right? It's you're gonna burn more fat if you work out fasted, all this other stuff, which some people still believe. A lot of people, even up till like 3 or 4 years ago, there were some things that I was just like, oh, like like I'm maybe they're on the fence, like maybe it is, maybe it's not. And some people think it increases like autophagy like crazy, so you're like lysing cancer cells and stuff, which unfortunately like isn't as like uh, uh, prominent, or it isn't as like effective as they were thinking it was potentially. But intermittent fasting, though, just to throw it out there, I love intermittent fasting. I love intermittent fasting. I'm going to be the first to say it, but I love it for for certain occasions, and I love it for the way that I use it. I love it for what it is. I'm not trying to make it something that it isn't. And what a lot of people think it is they think it's this magical thing that's going to help them burn fat and lose weight, and they can eat whatever they want. At the end of the day, that's just honestly not true. I freaking wish it was. Trust me, I wish it was, because if it was, I'd be in the best freaking. I would be like I would be in such good. I mean, I'm in good shape, but I would be in like such good shape if it was all as if it was all people have it cracked up to be. Which it's got some good purposes, but it's not magical. Sorry, it's not. I wish it was, but it's not. So let's get that out of the way. But what it is an eating strategy. It is a tool that you can use to help you reach your goals, specifically with weight loss. Because if you're trying to gain weight, you should not be intermittent fasting. You're probably gonna have a hard time. And so, um, but what it does though is that it's basically like I said, it's a strategy to help you reach your goals without being like completely miserable. And I'm here to tell you too, like it is not for everybody, right? Intermittent fasting is not for everybody. Not everybody's going to enjoy it. It's not going to be effective, or because at the end of the day, it's about sustainability, right? In my life, with my goals, with what I like to do, intermittent fasting is sustainable for me. I can do it pretty much every fucking day, no problem, and I'm happy as a clam, right? Some other people might not enjoy it that much. What's up, Kira? I don't do it 100%, but I can eat small breakfast, small lunch, so that I can eat a bunch in the evening when I'm hungriest. Yeah, so exactly, it's an eating strategy, and so sometimes like I'll even use it as like a tool for my clients. I'll even use it as a tool for some of my clients. If I've had clients in the past that like just to be honest, like have an insane fucking metabolism. My client Jason, he started out like 114 pounds, and he was able to like smash. He has a pretty high physically demanding job too, and he was able to smash like 4,500 calories a day at that low of a weight, and he would still have trouble, getting his food in. Right? He would still have trouble getting his food in. Or he would have trouble gaining weight, and so he would have trouble getting his food because that's a lot of fucking food, especially if you're not like already a large person in general. And so for him, like there would be times where he's like, dude, I'm so freaking stuffed. I eat. He was eating like every hour on the hour, like he had timers set to eat his fucking food. And so for him, like he would get to points where he's like, I'm so full. I don't want. I'm sick of eating this much. And so if you intermittent fast, I would put him on like, sometimes like a 24-hour fast here and there to kind of like get him back in the headspace of like, all right, it's go time. I'm freaking hungry again. Like I'm ready to eat. So you can use it like that. It can be like a mental like break from having to like stuff yourself to the gills with food. It also kind of helps like your hunger hormones and things like that kind of like rebalance out or recalibrate a little bit. So it can be used as a tool in those scenarios. Aiden is sitting with me and keeps saying hi to you. Hey, Aiden, how's it going, dude? How's it going, buddy? Oh, hope you're having a good day so far. Lonnie says I've tried this, works for some, and even though guaranteed it helps stabilize blood sugar, and mine haywire foliage. Yeah, and it can be helpful for that too, in some cases, but it depends on the person, right? It depends on the person. But intermittent fasting though, on top of being like a potential tool in other ways than just like not eating as much throughout the day, right? Because the reason why intermittent fasting works for people, whenever people are like, oh, I'm an intermittent fast, and then they lose a bunch of weight, you know why they lost a bunch of weight? It's not because it's magical. It's because it's an eating strategy to put you to more likely put you into a caloric deficit, right? If you're not eating throughout the day in your normal like 12 to 16 hours that you're awake, right? If you're not eating in that normal window throughout the entire day, and you're only eating like a 4, 6 to 8 hour window, right? You're way more likely to eat less food because you're not allowing yourself to eat food in those other periods of time, right? And so you're consuming less calories, and that's why you lose weight. It's not because intermittent fasting special. It's not magical. Please get that through your head if you're watching this right now, because so many people, I tell them this, and then they send me messages. They're like, it didn't work. I'm like, no fucking shit. You're still eating like 3,000-4,000 calories a day. You're just eating it in a smaller window, and so like that's what's happening. So obviously, yeah, you're gonna still fucking gain weight, or you're not gonna lose weight. Like that's it's the law of thermodynamics. You're putting more energy into your freaking body than it needs to maintain where it's at, so it's gonna store it as fat on your body, or you're just not gonna lose weight. And so that's why. But if you're intermittent fasting and you're in a caloric deficit and you're ensuring that you're in a caloric deficit, hell yeah, it's game time. You're gonna lose weight. And that's why people usually do lose weight whenever they intermittent fast, is because they're more likely to be in a caloric deficit. But if you're only using that strategy and you're not actually keeping track of your calories to an extent, or your macros, you're going to eventually hit a plateau. You're going to eventually, it's going to stop working for you because you're not in a caloric deficit anymore. You're not doing you're not doing it right. So that's what happens a lot of times. That's why I say like don't just intermittent fast like willy nilly. Like know what you're doing. Like know your freaking calories, know your macros, and then go from there, right? And so that's one thing to keep in mind is like that's why people lose weight whenever they intermittent fast. It's not because it's magical. It's not. There's nothing fucking special about it. Where do you think the food goes whenever it goes into your body? Like in your intermittent fasting, it's like no, your body's not just like shedding fat during the off period when you're not eating, right? So I hope that makes sense. Like I'm not gonna apologize for being like aggressive when it comes to this shit because like you need to get it through your head because you're gonna fuck up and you're gonna mess yourself up later down the line, and probably quit or be frustrated if you don't like listen to what I'm saying about this right now. Intermittent fasting is not magical. It's not. It doesn't burn fat magically. You only lose weight doing it because you're more likely in a caloric deficit. That's how all of these fad diets work. That's how all of these fad diets work. That's why keto works. That's why carnivore works. That's why low fat works. That's why all these other like paleo or whatever. Like that's why they work, right? It's because you're in a caloric deficit, and most of them aren't sustainable, right? Intermittent fasting, though, for some people, is sustainable. For me, it's sustainable because it's an eating strategy. You're not restricting yourself necessarily, other than like time, right? And so that's your restriction, right? And so for me, why do I do it, right? Like, why do I personally do it? For me, because I like the strategy of it. Because guess what? I am not hungry in the mornings, like at all. I'm not hungry in the mornings. I don't care about food at all. Period. I barely care about lunch. Like I roll around to about noon, and I'm starting to feel a little hungry, but I could take it or leave it. And for a while, just because I'm freaking ravenous in the evenings, right? I am starving in the evenings. I'm so hungry when night rolls around, that I want to save all my calories for when I'm the hungriest. Why would I eat a bunch of food when I'm not fucking hungry? When I know I'm going to be hungry later in the evening, right? Like why would you do that to yourself? Why would you eat all your food earlier in the day when you don't care about it, and then leave yourself high and dry in the evening? And you're like, God, I'm so hungry right now. I wish I had more calories. Well, guess what? You can. You just don't eat earlier in the day, and you'll be fine. And then you can eat those calories later in the evening because in general, for like 99% of people, meal timing based on their goals is not a big deal, and it doesn't really matter that much, right? And so, like I've talked about in the past. So, what I'll do, so, and for intermittent fasting, to be considered intermittent fasting, you can't consume calories, right? To be truly intermittent fasting, I kind of do I kind of cheat whenever I intermittent fast. I'll have a cup of black coffee, right? I'll have a cup of black coffee in the mornings. I'm just gonna lay it all out with what I do. So I wake up in the morning, I work out, I have some pre-workout with my workout. I come home, I help get my kid ready for school. I shower, all that good stuff. Um, they go to either school and Jess goes to work, and then I come home and I have a cup of black coffee, which is 5 calories technically, right? So I'm not truly intermittent fasting. And then I'll have like 2 fish oil pills, which is like, I don't know, like 20, 40 calories, some shit like that. And I'll have that. And then I'll just have that. And that coffee will suppress my appetite, and the fish oil kind of helps with that too. And I'll have that, and I'm good until like noon rolls around. I'm like, I could eat, or I could take it or leave it. And so I'll usually wait until about 1 or 2 p.m. To eat. In the past, I can go until like 6, 7 p.m. just fine, but I do get a little shaky. I don't care about the food, but I get a little shaky, right? I'm like, I don't really want to like feel like that, and so I eat between noon and 2. And so, and the last meal that I'll probably have is around like 9 p.m., maybe like 9:30, maybe 10 max. So you're looking at like a pretty good 12, 14, 16-ish hour window, depending on when I actually break my fast. Break my fast because I technically do it with the coffee and the fish oil. So that's what I'll do. And guess what? Then I have like thousands of calories that I can utilize in the evening. And when I do eat, when I do break my fast, I make sure for lunchtime, I'll keep my meal, my one meal before I have my big meals later in the evening. I'll keep it to about I won't eat more than 500 calories because I don't want a big meal to make me sleepy in the middle of the day. And so I have a little meal at around lunchtime. Make sure it's high protein, right? I make sure it's a high protein meal, so that way I'm getting my protein in ahead of time. So that way I can have more carbs and fat in the evening whenever I actually feel like eating, right? And then I do it, and then I've got all these calories that I can have in the evenings, and it's freaking awesome, and it feels super sustainable for me. And for me too, these other potential added bonuses that you might have from intermittent fasting, that I personally experience on a daily basis. You know, is improved mental clarity. So I get brain fog really bad. I have like some form of attention deficit disorder. And so I get my brain fog like goes to like nothing, which is nice. I have way less brain fog. I feel way better on my like I feel way more focused. I like intermittent fasting for the fact that for some people, right, this is why it's not for everybody. Some people it can actually help with like hunger cues. It can help with eating disorders and things like that. But for other people, it can make it worse. And I'm just going to be honest about that. It's based on the individual and their own like personal journey and mental health and previous disorders and things like that they've had. Like it's not, and I'm not going to be the first to come on here and claim like it helps people fix their eating disorders or it makes them worse, because it can do either depending on the person. But for me, it's helped me understand my body's like hunger cues better. Like I know when I'm actually hungry versus when I'm just bored now, right? I know when I'm actually hungry. And even if I am, like I've through intermittent fasting, the mental game there, I can basically just tell my stomach to shut up. I'm like not gonna feed you right now, and you can just deal with it. And having that like power over that, and to be able to have that, it's a really helpful tool whenever because anytime I'm hungry, like I'll be like, am I actually hungry, or am I like just bored, or am I just like craving something, like but like am I actually hungry? And so like intermittent fasting like helps in that way too. I found for myself personally is just understanding your body better and understanding your own hunger cues. And and for the most part, I intermittent fast for like I'll go through phases where I might do it for like 6 months to a year, and then I might take a couple months off of it, and then I might do it again. If I'm like trying to bulk up and I need to actually eat more food, it's kind of hard to cram. For me when I'm bulking, I'm anywhere from like 25 to 3,500 calories depending on where I'm at my bulk. Like it's hard to eat that many. Like I can do it. I don't trust me. Your boy can put down food, but like I don't want to eat that much in one sitting because I feel bloated and like crap and uncomfortable, and like it's like lights out for me. Like I'm tired. Like if that shit happens, and so that's why I might come off of like intermittent fasting for a time period, but like I just like it. It just fits my schedule. It fits my lifestyle really well, and maybe it fits your lifestyle really well. And that's why I'm sharing this with you guys and telling you about like how I go about it, what I do to like get the most out of it. Um, but also just to bring you the reality of like that it's not fucking magical, and if you're looking for that, if you're looking for it to like solve all your troubles and your worries, and like be a shortcut for you to like success, it's not going to be. Like it's not going to be. And like as much as I love it, like you also got to be like honest with the reality of what it is, and just be okay with the fact that it's not magical, and that it's just a tool that you can use. And if you do it and you really like it and you're like, I could do that, like I could do this all day, this is super sustainable for me, sweet, do it. Like I think that it's great that you found something that's sustainable for you. A lot of people, it might not be. A lot of people that try it might freaking hate it. It might not work well with them, and so that's okay too. But for me, a good rule of thumb, if you're trying to intermittent fast, try it for a couple weeks. Usually it takes like I don't know. For me, whenever I come off of it and get back to it, it usually takes me about 2 weeks to like get back into the rhythm of things, and for my to really be like not hungry and like not because if I condition, because you're conditioning your body, right? Like if I condition my body to not be intermittent fasting and to eat in the morning, middle of the day, and night, you know, whenever I stop doing that and start trying to intermittent fast again, there's going to be some like, delayed effects there where I'm like, okay, I'm still kind of hungry in the mornings. And so like for the first couple of weeks, give it a try. And if you like it, cool. Great, do it. If you don't like it, don't fucking do it. Do something different. So that's just how that's how I go about it. So let's see. Thanks for the shout out. He got a big grin. That's awesome. I pushed it easy too far in the past. I'll have to revisit it again with different perspective. I was being unhealthy with it and trying to exercise while fasting. No good. And so if you exercise in the morning, like it's fine. If you do it like I do it, like I eat a lot at night. Like I will, I'll have like less than 500 calories throughout the entire day, and then like dinner time will roll around between like 5 and like 7 p.m. I put down some. I eat so I eat like like I'll sit down and eat like 2,000, sometimes like even like 2,500 calories in one sitting, or like in the span of a couple of hours, in the evening, and then I'm full. I'm full, and that carries over into my mornings too. And so like I have the energy to work out still in the mornings on an empty stomach. It's not empty. My body is full of food at that point in time. And so yeah, like fasted working out's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's also nothing inherently magical about it either. Because that's something that a lot of people say, like do fasted cardio or do fasted workouts, burn more fat, and it's like even if you do, it's like extremely insignificant amount of like it's not worth feeling like shit if it makes you feel like shit whenever you work out fasted. So Heidi says dinner's my biggest meal too. Yeah, for sure. I just felt kind of sick when I fasted and went hard in the gym. Yeah, I mean it just I mean if you're somebody that functions well off like some carbs, like a small amount of carbs in the morning before your workout, do it. Like that's great. Like most people would like it's safe to say most people would perform better with a little bit of carbs in their body in their system before the workout. Most people do. For me, maybe it would be effective. I like it's like pros and cons. I have way more pros to not eat in the morning, like have carbs before my workout, because I don't want it to make me sleepy or tired for the first like 12 hours, not 12 hours, like the first 6 to 8 hours of my day when I'm like trying to be my most productive and trying to get as much work done and trying to get as much stuff done throughout my day. For me, it's just there's pros and cons, right? It's like whatever whatever is in your favor and the balance of like what you want it to be, right? So just you gotta make it fit you, right? That's how it's going to be sustainable long term. But that's how I like to do it. That's why I intermittent fast. That's what I get out of it. You might not get the same thing out of it that I get out of it, but and at the end of the day, let's recap real quick though. Like let me know too your number one takeaway from what you got from this. I want to know like because I feel like this is something that a lot of people have questions about usually, and you know also something like sometimes it takes like hearing it 3 or 4 times for it to stick. It's like with like learning anything in like school or whatever. It's like if you want it to stick, repeat it or read it again or listen to it again, because it might take a couple times to stick, and you might be listening to this right now and you might be like like I'm feeling a little lost, or you might be listening to this right now and you might watch this whole live and still not understand everything that I talked about. But if you watch it again, or if you ask a question about it and I give you an answer to it, then it'll stick in your head a little bit better, which is good for everybody, right? So yeah, so that's intermittent fasting in a nutshell. It's intermittent fasting in a nutshell. Why I do it, what I get out of it, what you might get out of it. Let's recap real quick though. Also, give this video a like if you're still watching. That way, other people, it helps with the algorithm, helps other people see it. But recap though. Intermittent fasting, it's not magical. It's not super special. There's nothing like inherently like better about it than other eating strategies because it's not a diet, right? Intermittent fasting is not a diet. It is an eating strategy. And so you're not telling yourself you can't have anything. You can have all the other foods that you normally can have. It's just in a window of time, right? And then on top of that, the only reason it works for most people, the only reason it works is because you're in a caloric deficit, right? If it's not working, then you're not in a caloric deficit, and that's why intermittent fasting isn't working for you anymore. It's not that intermittent fasting is broken, because there's nothing like for it to work on anyways. Like at the end of the day, it's like it's not supposed to do anything magical for you in the first place, right? It's an eating strategy. And so for me, like potential benefits that you might get from it, improved mental clarity, like because your body's not full of food or carbs that are being broken down, which can impact like CO2 levels in your blood and things like that. Like that can happen from like the process of food being digested. That's why people get sleepy a lot of times, is because you're like certain like levels of hormones change in your body after you eat. Insulin might spike, things like that, and then also like increase like CO2 like in your bloodstream makes you sleepy. So you might have improved mental clarity throughout your day. The other thing too that might happen is, you might get better at knowing your body and being able to tell when you're actually hungry versus like when you're bored, or like whenever you're like, sad or upset or whatever it may be, like, an emotional trigger to food. You might learn your body a little bit better, right? Those are some of the benefits of it. And at the end of the day, like if you're like me and you like to eat a lot of your food, if you're hungry, the most hungry in the evening, um, you know, like like it could be a great option for you. If you're most hungry in the mornings, maybe not. Maybe it's not the best thing for you. Maybe you should disperse your meals out more evenly, throughout. Anyways, I did this live. This is way too long, but that's okay. I wanted to go into depth about this shit with you guys. I hope that thank you for those of you that stuck around and tuned in. But yeah, I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this was informative for you. But I'm gonna let y'all go. Let me know, like I said, your number one takeaway. Feel free to give this video a like, share it, tag somebody in the comments if they've been asking questions or have talked about intermittent fasting, because they need to hear this shit before they get themselves into it. So that way they have the right expectations going into it. So I'm gonna go pick up my friend from the airport. She's coming into town visiting. If you're watching this, Naomi, well, she's on an airplane, but if you're watching this later, Naomi, shout out to you. I'm excited to hang out. So other than that, though, guys, I appreciate everybody, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. See ya.